Well guys, back to working on damn skiffy here. I got some moisture in there from the week. You can see it. It's been rainy here this week, and those were in there. I pulled the stuff out, and you can see where the water was running around it and, you know, just getting in there. So if you don't use any kind of sealant on any of your holes, you know, that's what happens. And then of course, we all know what's happening next. So we're gonna get this wood cut out of here, and you know, just think about it, the fact that this wood's wet, but yet this water was the only thing. This was sat down, so the only way that water got in was through here all week long, you know, all weekend rather, because it's been a very rainy weekend. But we're fixing to cut this thing off. Guys, as you can see, this piece, it literally just came right off, you know, came right free. You can see that it originally bonded to it, but it didn't bond all the way in. So this, I mean, as soon as I went to grab it off here, it just flipped right up. So, and then you can see like here, we've got, I mean, this is all just, it comes right off, you know, peels right up. And all we have to do is just, so as you can see, it didn't bond that well, but we'll get this ground out, and we're gonna get ready to get this fiberglass work done this week. That way we can go and take our maiden voyage on damn skiffy and just see how it does perform. Well guys, there it is, all cut out. You can see this was already rotten. Every bit of this was already rotten. And if I can get my finger in there, you see it all just comes right out. So this side, it was getting to be the same way. All this wood's already all delaminated, and you can see just everything. And this didn't have any holes in the top until we put the ones in here a couple days ago. But over the weekend, this thing absorbed all this water, and you know, just that little hole right there, you know, let's just say this is 6-inch blocks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks away. So that's 25 inches here. It's already absorbed all that water all the way across that far just by not sealing a hole. Now, we didn't seal them because it was temporary here, but as we were getting ready to do our fiberglass work, but you could just see, like, if you don't use any sealant, you know, that's the problem you're going to end up with right there. You're going to be doing the same thing I'm doing, which we were only going to do this because we were like, oh yeah, well, you know, to just make it nicer. Good thing we did. So as you can see, you know, we got a little bit of a raised edge there where the two layers of fiberglass were, so we got to get rid of that. And you can see down under here, there's still a little piece of wood in there, but you can see that raised edge, and if you look at it, you know, that's a pretty decent edge still all along. But I went ahead and jumped ahead, and I sanded her down on this side, and you can see it's sanded nice and flat. And I did get a little grinder happy, and I busted through, but that's an easy fix. We were planning on re-gel coating it anyways, so I'll lay some fiberglass across there and re-gel coat it. It won't have a problem. But what I did have is right here, there was a cut line where I had ran the grinder across here, and it had just gotten into that just a little bit. So I wanted to feather that back so that I didn't have one spot that it may crack, it may fail, who knows, but I'm not gonna take the chance. But you can see, you know, I'm roughing it up and getting it to where we're down to bare fiberglass here. And if you see, all around right here, all this area, you can see it's all down to actual fiberglass, that I don't have any of the wood on there still. And all I've been using to do any of this work is my handy dandy scraper that I may have ground a nice little edge onto, and then one of these 60 grit sanding discs for the grinder. It works absolutely perfect. You know, obviously it works a little too good in some areas, but hey, it is what it is. So I'm gonna get the rest of this thing done up, get all that side done up over there, and you can see, like, there's the whole pile of all the nasty old wood, everything, all the rotten pieces that came out of there, the old fiberglass itself, and it didn't stay bonded to that old wood, but it hardly ever does. I think in some of these old boats, once it gets wet, and you know, wood does shrink over time, but the fiberglass really doesn't. So anyways, that might be why there's some voids in areas too as well along the way. But we're gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna go back with some nidacore, so we ain't got to worry about it ever again. All right, so I got some help filming finally. I've got all these pores in here, and I wanted to show this, that as we're gonna blow this off, you'll see it's like, you know, this looks nice and clean over here, but yet on this side, you can see how it's got that white dust all over it. And you'll see when I start blowing it that there's going to be little tiny pores, and as you're blowing the air, compressed air, it's going to blow it off. So if you wipe it with acetone, you're kind of wiping stuff right down in there if you don't get rid of the dust first. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see, that blew off. That's nice and pretty and clean. So now we can show all the rest of this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put one layer of glass mat down. And when we lay this in here, obviously we'll wet it out and it's gonna be up and over the edges, but we're gonna come back and we'll cut that edge off before we go to our next layer. But our nidacore here, it wasn't quite wide enough. So what I've got is, I've got two pieces that get me where I need to be. Just gotta go over here. And then I got these side pieces. Now, I didn't want to fold the nidacore because if you can look across that edge over there, you'll see, you know, if it had a 90-degree turn to it, that would be a void in this corner in here. So what I did was I cut these to length, and these are gonna go right in here against the side edge, and I'm struggling. These are going to go right over here on this edge, and got my little piece, and then I got this one, and where's my last one? Oh, right over there. All right, so when you look at this, you see I've got my short pieces for the sides on this end, and my short piece over here is on this end, because I don't want them all to be on that one side and then it have any chance of being brittle there for any reason. But I was trying to figure out, how am I going to keep these? All right, we're going to try this for the third time now because the compressor kicked on when we were refilming again.
Third time's the charm.
Anyway, so I got this extra piece of nidacore, and what we're doing is we're trying to keep that little bit of extra pressure on there to keep these things pushed out to where that they're on the correct angle over here on the sides. And that way we can get this thing to bond right up close. There's no areas where there's going to be a void, and obviously as we wet this thing out, it's going to be a little more sticky. But if you look, like you see right here, I don't know if you zoom in right here, Audrey, you can see that little bit of bow. So I was looking and I was like, what am I going to put there? Started thinking about all the different heavy things around here, and I was like, I got some batteries, I got this, I got that, and I said, wait a minute, we have gravel. We have granite gravel that's a perfect ballast. So when we go to lay this thing in here, I'm just going to scatter some gravel across there and let that hold that thing down to where it'll spread the weight evenly, and it won't affect our little stringers, if you will. But we're gonna get this thing, it's getting too late today to do fiberglass. By the time I get this all mixed and get it all put on, the sun will be down, it's gonna be too cold.